Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today, I'm going to be going over all the anticipated thriller releases that are coming out in September. Now, one of them I'm mentioning already has come out since I'm getting this video out a little bit later than normal. But I am really looking forward to all of these releases coming out this month. They all look very good and I can't wait to get into the video. But before I go on, please hit that subscribe button. I noticed in my analytics that not everyone who's watching my videos is subscribed. So it would be very helpful if you hit the subscribe button. It would be helpful in supporting me. So yeah, I just wanted to throw in a little reminder for you all and let's get into the video. So the book that came out on the 2nd is Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. So this is about Chloe, who is a freshman honor student at her university, but she is a psychopath. And she's actually in this unique study where her and some other fellow psychopaths on the campus are wearing these smartwatches and all their emotions and movements are tracked for research purposes. She's plotting to kill her childhood friend who wronged her named Will, but everything changes when one of her fellow psychopaths in the study turns up dead and she realizes someone may be coming after her and she cannot trust the other psychopaths. So this concept sounds so interesting. It almost sounds like a Black Mirror episode. And I've talked about it before, but I love Black Mirror. I think the concepts are really cool. And the whole smartwatch concept really makes me think of that show. Also, this gives me dark academic vibes, which I am a super fan of. I absolutely love when books take place in college campuses or in a academic setting. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. I need to get my hands on this as soon as possible. And I also really like reading about female serial killers or female psychopaths. I just think that's very interesting. I cannot wait to pick up this book. So there's a few books coming out on the 7th, and the first one I'm going to talk about is The House of Ashes by Stuart Neville. So Sarah has recently had a nervous breakdown and she has moved with her husband to Northern Ireland to try to start over and for him to start his new job. So she doesn't know anyone and she honestly kind of feels like a prisoner in her own home. And one day an older woman shows up at her door, pounding on the door, covered in blood and saying that the house they are living in belongs to her. She's arrested though, but she starts digging into the past history of the house and starts to learn some sinister things that took place there. So this book is told in a dual perspective, one in the present day through Sarah and another a half a century earlier from an Irish farm girl. So this sounds very interesting. I love books when they're told in dual perspectives, especially if they're in different timelines, and I can't wait to read this one. So another book coming out the 7th is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. And I have never read a Lisa Jewell book, which is probably really surprising to people because I'm a huge thriller fan and I know Lisa Jewell is a really popular author. I own 2 of her books. So I have Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and then I also have The Invisible Girl. But I think I'll start with this one because it sounds very interesting and it's coming out really soon. So let's get into what this one is about. In 2017, 19-year-old Tallulah actually leaves her baby with her mother to go out on this date. But unfortunately, she never returns, and in the morning, her mother gets a hold of one of her friends, and they say the last time they saw her was leaving this party going towards the woods. And in the woods, she was going to this house called the Dark Place. So she never returns and the case goes cold. But in 2019, Sophia is walking through the woods and she comes across a tree. And on this tree tacked on is a message and it says, "Dig here." So the blurb says, "A cold case, an abandoned mansion, family trauma, and dark secrets lie at the heart of Lisa Jewell's remarkable new novel." The next book that's coming out on the 7th is The Necklace by Matt Witten. So this is about a woman, and 20 years prior she lost her daughter, and the man who killed her daughter is about to be executed because he received the death sentence, and she is driving on her way to go watch this happen. On her way though, she starts to panic because something she recently saw may indicate that this man is actually innocent. So she brings this to the attention of the cops and they don't believe her. They say no, he is the guilty one, and so she's left to try to figure out how to stop this execution from happening because this man may be innocent. So she's trying to find who actually committed this crime. So she finds two unlikely allies, a retired cop who actually made the arrest of the man who is on death row, and a defiant teenager to try to go catch the killer. So the next book is Small Town Monsters, and this is by Diana Rodriguez Wallach. And the blurb on here says, The Conjuring meets The Vow. This terrifying paperback original tells the unput-downable story of a girl, a dark angel, and the cult hell-bent on taking over her small coastal town. So first of all, I love a cult element in a story. So this is about a girl named Vera, and she's an outcast in her family and in her town, and she wants to escape the small town she grew up in. She doesn't have her parents' unique abilities. They're actually two demonologists, and I believe this is the reference to The Conjuring. So in The Conjuring, obviously Ed and Lorraine Warren are demonologists, and they study these artifacts, and they actually keep them in their basement. So in this story, Vera's parents have these scary artifacts in her basement, so of course that makes her very unnerved. She doesn't like it and she wants to escape. And Maxwell's taking care of his sister the summer before his senior year in high school, when he should just be having fun and letting loose, but he can't do so because his mother is really spiraling. Something's wrong with her. She seems not herself, and it keeps getting worse and worse, and he starts to believe that something more sinister is at the cause of her downfall. So Maxwell and Vera band together and they come face to face with evil. So this one sounds exceptional. The whole comparison to The Conjuring just makes me really, really excited to read this book. I really hope it lives up to this. I've always wanted to read about a story like this where there's like these creepy objects in the basement, and I just recently rewatched the original Conjuring movie. It's fantastic. It's so, so good. I think everybody knows it's a really good movie, but I feel like we've been a little bit distracted because the Conjuring universe has just been spun out of control, and there's just too many movies in it now, and they're not up to quality with the original one. But I'm really excited to read this, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. The Trapped Wife by Samantha Hayes is also coming out on the 7th. So I'm going to read the description for this one. My family gathers around the large oak table in our beautifully renovated home. I put on a dress and lit candles, and there's a wonderful aroma coming from the dinner you've so lovingly prepared. I feel your hand squeeze mine as you top up my glass and ask about my day as a doctor in our small town. It's the perfect domestic scene, except for one tiny fact. I think my husband is dead and you're just another patient of mine. So I'm not going to read the rest of it, but it goes on to sound even more interesting, and this whole concept sounds so intriguing. I need to get my hands on this book. This sounds like a really cool spin on a domestic thriller, and I am really looking forward to reading this one. The next book is coming out on the 13th, and it is The Couple Upstairs, and this one is by Shalini Boland, and I'm going to read this description as well. Our new home was supposed to be a chance to leave our past behind, but was moving here the worst mistake of our lives? All our friends and family were gathered, glasses raised to toast our fresh start. It should have been a night for happiness and celebration. Zach and I had worked so hard for this, our first home together, just minutes from the sea. But the dream quickly turned into a nightmare. We'd invited our neighbors too. I wanted to make a good impression, to show them we're exactly the sort of people they want living on their street. I hadn't thought about who they might be, the strangers I was letting in. It was going so well, there was laughter in the air and the wine was flowing, but then I noticed the narrowed eyes, the whispers, and then the lights went out. As my heart thumped in my chest, all the little things that had been going wrong since we moved here flashed through my mind. The food poisoning, the arguments, the flood of nasty reviews shaking my business. Am I going crazy, or is someone trying to destroy us? So on the 14th, White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson is coming out, and this is a YA book. Marigold is running away from the phantoms of her past. She moves with her new blended family into a California beach town, and she moves in with her annoying stepsister. She cannot stand her. She thinks, though, it may be the fresh start she needs. The house seems picture perfect when everything starts out, and she's really enjoying her time. But strange things start to happen. Lights turn on and off, items vanish, she starts to see figures walking, and it seems like the house may be haunted. And her stepsister keeps telling her that there is someone who wants her gone. So this sounds ambiguous, a little bit spooky, and the cover is amazing. I read Grown by this author, and her writing is so fast-paced and good, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. All These Bodies by Kendare Blake is coming out on the 14th. 16 bloodless bodies, 2 teenagers, one impossible explanation. Summer 1958, a string of murders plagues the Midwest. The victims are found in their cars and in their homes, even in their beds, their bodies drained, but with no blood anywhere. September 19th, the Carlson family is slaughtered in their Minnesota farmhouse, and the case gets its first lead. 15-year-old Mary Catherine Hale is found at the scene. She is covered in blood from head to toe, and at first she's mistaken for a survivor, but not a drop of blood is hers. Michael Jensen, son of the local sheriff, yearns to become a journalist and escape his small town. He never imagined that the biggest story in the country would fall into his lap, or that he would be pulled into the investigation, when Mary decides that he is the only one she will confess to. As Mary recounts her version of the story, it falls to Michael to find the truth. What really happened the night that the Carlsons were killed, and how did one girl wind up in the middle of all these bodies? So when I heard that the concept revolved around people being drained of blood, this really reminded me of the book Lost by S.J. Bolton. It was a really, really good book. I highly recommend it. It's kind of a detective book, but children with their bodies drained of blood are washing up and showing up. So it sounds very intriguing, very interesting, and this cover is something I've been seeing all over all year. I think a lot of people are really anticipating it, so I hope it lives up to the anticipation. Dark Things I Adore by Katie Lattari is coming out on the 14th. So this is a revenge novel, which I love revenge novels. They're so, so good. And as soon as I read the description that it's a revenge novel, I knew that I had to get this book. So in 1988, a group of outcasts gather at a campfire in this art camp. They start sharing their dark, deep secrets. These secrets they share, though, this night come back and haunt them. In 2018, esteemed art professor Max goes to his protege's remote home for the weekend to view her graduate thesis and to spend some time with her. So there's some implications there. However, once he arrives, little does he know that she has everything planned out to take out her revenge on him. She knows what happened the summer of 1988 and knows his dark secret, and she's determined to make him pay. So this one sounds right up my alley. Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney is coming out on the 19th. And I ordered this for my book of the month pick, so I'm really excited to get it. So a couple who have been married for 10 years decide to go on their anniversary trip to Scotland. Adam has lived with face blindness his whole life, so he can't recognize family and friends, and he also can't even recognize his wife. Every anniversary, the couple exchange traditional gifts, but little does he know, every year his wife writes him a letter that she never gives to him. This weekend will make or break their relationship, and one of them is lying, and the other doesn't want them to live happily ever after. So this sounds good. It may sound kind of like a revenge novel as well, so I'm excited for this one. So the last book I want to talk about is coming out on the 28th. This one is called A Time for Monsters by Gareth Worthington, and I'm going to read the description for this one. A Nordic thriller in the vein of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo meets Death Wish, in which a female serial killer who only feels emotion when listening to music is hell-bent on revenge and must outwit a disgraced detective determined to redeem himself if she is to complete her carefully orchestrated plan and cover up the ultimate secret. Only a monster can do the wrong things for the right reasons. Do you remember the first tape or CD you ever bought? Perhaps you waited for the local station to play the top 40 songs on a Sunday so you could record your favorite band. Maybe you downloaded a certain track that reminded you of your wedding day or graduation. Brina Blackburn remembers every single song for every horrific event in her life. She remembers what song was playing on the radio the first time he hurt her, and she remembers what was playing through her headphones the first time she killed. So this one sounds so good. I've never heard this concept of music and relating that to a serial killer in a book before. I mean, I know that in The Silence of the Lambs it kind of talks about that. I do know that there are other books with this premise, but I personally haven't really read it in the synopsis of a thriller, and this one just sounds really, really good and like such a unique book. So I'm very excited for it. I also just love books, as I mentioned before, with female serial killers. I always find them really enjoyable and unique. So I'm the most excited for this one and Small Town Monsters. For Small Town Monsters, the comparison to The Conjuring makes me immediately want to read it. And so I'm very excited for this one, and the premise sounds so good. I'm so excited to read these books this month. And I noticed that there was kind of a theme with my anticipated horror releases that are coming out this month. So a lot of those were haunted house books, and it seems like in this list there's a lot of serial killer, revenge novels, and That is amazing. Love it. So I will talk to you all really soon. I hope you're all having a wonderful reading month, and I'll see you soon. Bye.